Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at property address 979 Southeast 8th Avenue here in Hillsboro, located to the left of the doorway. Going through a 4-inch ABS cleanout. Check the overall condition, serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. This is a Rescope post-hydrojetting. Off the top of my head, if I recall, it was almost exactly 100 feet out. About where you would expect to see the secondary cleanout access. Bunch of rocks were in the line, so as far as I know, the line's been hydrojetted. We're checking the work on that, make sure the rocks are gone, but also to camera the last, whatever it is, 50, 60, 70 feet of pipe. Just swapped over to 3034 PVC there. I'm trying to keep my momentum up here. It's a long sewer line. I'm trying to avoid having to move to the secondary access point. Alright, so I believe at this point we have been past the area where the rocks were. It does appear we've got some level of standing water we're going through there, but we'll take a look at that when the line's drained. I've got a garden hose running full bore, which is going to exaggerate any standing water quite a bit, typically speaking. So anyway, we've hit the main here at 163 feet. So the line it goes out to the street. This is as if you're standing in the road, facing the front of the house. It goes out towards the street and then runs down in the kind of the dirt area on this side of the road, but out to the main intersection where it ties into the manhole. So we're gonna let the line drain out here, and then we'll start pulling back here in just a moment and take a good look at things. All right, it looks like the line here is fully drained off. So if you go stand out in the street right in front of your house and look, well, if you're facing the house, look to your left down to the main intersection, down the hill of the intersection, you can follow, there's a patch that is directly in line with the dirt area, kind of where a sidewalk would normally be. You can follow that area and you can see the patch in the road that's in line with that, and it leads right up to the manhole on the far side of that intersection there. So you have a super minor amount of standing water there at the end of the line, and we're gonna have we have a little bit more behind the camera. Even for new construction, that is way too minor to go tearing a road up over. That right there, it's about, approximately from about 160 feet to 163 feet. You're holding somewhere between a 32nd of an inch and a 16th. Which is incredibly minor. You can if this were not a brand spanking new house, I wouldn't even be talking about it. It's that minor. So what I do recommend on lines like this, especially these long sewer lines, it's not an ideal thing to have a line this length, but probably the main lateral may not come all the way up the road. Anytime you have a line that at least in my 13 years and 24,000 scopes later, most sewer lines that push over 100 feet, unless they're on a really steep hillside, generally speaking, whether they're old or brand new, will often have standing water. Probably a good 85% of them or better will have that. So for new construction, I generally dial things back a bit, but I treat these lines a little bit differently than your average sewer line. This neighborhood, the mains out there were never, nothing was situated ever to fully accommodate a house being here. And so you're working with what you've got. But what I always recommend, even when you've got very, very minor standing water on a new construction house, is rescope the line about 9-10 months into that 1-year warranty, and make sure nothing is progressed. If you see much progression, even if things have gone from, let's say, 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch of standing water, at that point I would probably recommend repairs on it, because you don't know if it's going to continuously shift and progress over time. That joint there slipped a little bit, but still intact. It's a very, very minor slip. But it's stuff like this. You just don't know if it's going to change over time. That right there is about a 1/4 inch or so slip. It could be a little bit more than that, but that's about all it is. The joint is closed off to the ground. You can see there's no dirt staining there or anything like that. Similar thing there. That little section of pipe there just is slightly cattywampus. And it's about the same thing at 94 and at 92 feet. It's a very subtle slip of the joint. But again, if you come back, And I would make the builder aware of it. At least give them a heads up. We're going to, take a look at it 9 months from now and see if anything's changing. If we, start seeing evidence of groundwater seeping through any of those joints there or anything like that, I would certainly recommend it be corrected at that point in time. Right, and then similar thing here at this joint, very subtle, just barely out of whack, 1/16 of an inch. No big deal. None of that stuff has any bearing on functionality at all. But this is a line I do highly recommend rescope, about nine months from now. You don't want to wait till the last minute, but you want to give this line a chance to sit in the ground for a little while and see how things are looking. Most lines, the settling happens usually almost immediately after the line is buried, within the first day or two. Sometimes you'll see some progression up to about a week or so, but generally speaking, it's almost instantaneous. Only a handful of lines will progress. It's these longer ones, though, that are the ones that are more likely. They have tighter tolerances than your average sewer line does. And you've got a couple joints there that they show no appearance right now of being compromised and open to the ground. But we're also in the dry season. Ideally, let this line sit through the rainy season to see if you start seeing any signs of anything occurring, though. The ground's wet enough, though. The line's been in the ground long enough. Typically speaking, you would probably see signs of it already. And then another one right here. In 4 different joints in the line right now, 4 or 5 of them, that they're super subtle. Not the kind of stuff that's going to cause flow issues whatsoever, not unless, the joint is compromised in some manner to where it can open up to the ground and progress. Rocks have been removed from the sewer line. You have a good flow all the way out to the main lateral connection. And by all accounts, every bit of that line looks like it's intact and sealed up. Sewer line is functioning properly at this time. Highly recommend you rescope it in about 9 months to take another look at it, make sure everything looks like it's staying put and staying sealed up.